Yo, what's up guys? My name is Pickfast. I was an Eternus 6 Deadlock player before the update, and I'm going to be going over some of the most underrated items for each character right now. I just want to give an honorable mention before we begin. I won't be including this in any character's list, but I just want to talk about Suppressor. I think if you are a character that procs consistent spirit damage, Suppressor is a good buy if they have like two or three gun characters, even one or two, it's a really good underrated buy, and you can always slot it in your build and pick it up. It's only 1600, and it's a crazy buy. 6 spirit power, 8 bullet resist, minus 28% fire rate, and you can just consistently proc it. So first I want to start out with Abrams, and so the popular build is Spirit Abrams right now, and I think Spirit Sap is definitely an underrated buy. I think for your 4800 spike you can go Extra Spirit, Spirit Strike, Arcane Surge, and Spirit Sap, and I think it's just an underrated item. Minus 9 Spirit Resist, minus 30 Spirit Power for 12 seconds, and adds 50 bonus health. It's a really underrated item, really underutilized, especially on this hero I think. And the more damage you do, the more healing you're doing. And on top of that, I think debuff reducer is also a really underrated item. It builds into Spellbreaker and Unstoppable, which are both items that you might want on Abrams. And I think it's also just really good for getting your 4.8k green spike with some other items like Battle Vest, Enchanters, or like Resto Locket, Healing Booster, stuff like that. It also pairs very well if you get the max 3 with the innate 20% debuff resistance. So it is multiplicative, but you will have around 40% debuff resist, which is kind of crazy. So next is Apollo, and I think just really underutilized is Gun Spike. I think his gun is pretty good, and you don't even have to get real gun items. You can get these fake gun items like Stalker, Mystic Shot, and Spirit Shredder for your 4.8k weapon investment. And I think these items just work really well with him. You get close range, you're always hitting your Mystic Shot. This makes all your abilities do more damage and give you more lifesteal on top of the healing you get from your 3. And then this gives you additional move speed, gives you some bonus health, and does damage per second while reducing their bullet resist. And we all know that Stalker is a pretty good item. And these core items can be bought on people like Yamato, even people like Abrams in certain builds. And I think it just works really well on Apollo, and I think it's underutilized. Next is Bebop. We have a couple items for this hero. First of all is Return Fire. I think this item is really good, especially in lane. You just win every trade, especially if you're going for like bomb stacks and stuff. And I think Hunter's Aura as well, if you're playing with your team hooking people in, all the stats that it gives, because usually they're going to be near no other hero if you're hooking them, so getting these bonus effects is really nice to just blow them up. And then I also think that Arctic Blast and Radiant Regeneration are two really underutilized items. I think that Radiant Regen, if you're playing like a tank bop sort of hero, or even Spirit Bop, I think this is so good for survivability, especially with your 1 with the missing HP heal. You could get like Healing Booster, which I forgot to include here, but I also think that Healing Booster is really good on this hero. It makes this 22% missing HP heal, and especially if you pair it with Radiant Regen, I think it's really underutilized. And Arctic Blast, you can hook them in, uppercut them, bomb them, hook them in again, and then Arctic Blast them, and they're stuck for like 5 seconds. And this is just kind of really secures the kill. So sometimes you'll hook someone on Bebop and they don't die. I think Arctic Blast like truly secures the kill. And I think it is underutilized on Bebop for sure. And just something to always think about is Mystic Expansion. Just make your hook range a little bit bigger. So next is Billy. I think extra health can be really good, especially in like the lane phase. Just to help you get better trades and everything. Just give you like 210 bonus health plus the 9% investment. And Fortitude I think could be a really good tempo buy. Help you stay on the map, get in a lot of fights with your chain and everything. I think Disarming Hex. You're kind of like a anti-carry in like these frontline roles, so you might be running at their Wraith, their 7, their Venator, people like that, chaining them in. Disarming Hex just makes it so they either have to burn their Dispel or they just can't play the game. And it gives negative bullet resist. And I think this is just an underrated item as well. It's really good on heroes like this. Tank Buster is pretty good as well on his 2. Along with the max percent damage at max level, you also get the 8% current health bonus damage with Tank Buster. So you're going to be doing a lot of their health bar, like 15% of their health bar with this combo. And last is Alkfire. I think you're going to be in a lot of team fights. chaining people in and then out firing below you. I think that can be a pretty underrated combo for a team wipe. Next is Calico. I just want to start with point blank and close quarters. Close quarters would be in lane. Point blank is an upgrade later. I know some people buy it. I think I've seen Skeleton Honey buy it. I know he plays a good bit of Calico. I think her gun is pretty decent. You're obviously not going to be speccing fully into it, but something like this and like Hunter's Aura, both of these items together could do a lot of damage. Then I think Healing Booster, increase the heal amount on your slash. I think this might be a little underrated. This might be a little bit stupid, but just something to maybe think about. I don't know. And then I also think that Headhunter. This sounds crazy, but I think like Headhunter Healing Booster could be like a crazy additional burst damage and healing. I don't know. You can call me crazy, but I think this might be underrated. For Celeste, I think she's pretty solved. One thing is, like, if you don't like K-Dash, you can always do active reload. I like active reload for sure. I think this item's underrated. I don't think enough people buy this item. I think it's completely overstated. And then She Death. I think that you are slippery enough to where if you get caught out, the 4.5 seconds that you have of immunity, death immunity, will help you get out of any situation that you might get in. And I think that this could be a really good late game buy over things like even like Plated or Spellbreaker. Because I feel like if you get caught out on this hero, you're going to die. Your health bar isn't very big. But I think Cheat Death would help you get out of the situations where you're actually dying in. I don't know. I think this item is also just completely underbought in general to begin with. So next is the Doorman. I think Gunspike is completely underrated on this guy. This is just an example of Gunspike. I think Sharpshooter is really good on him, and I think Recharging Rush. This just as your Gunspike, I think is super underrated. His gun does a lot of damage. It's really overlooked. And then something like Veilwalker. Just help you get your, Joe Chuck combos, come out of nowhere, invisible, and just completely kidnap somebody. I think that this is an underrated item for doing that. Gives you healing, help you stay on the map. I know a lot of people buy like Fortitude. This is something to consider as well. So for the Drifter, I'm putting Disarming Hex as well. Kind of the same reasoning as Billy, where if you're running at their M1, like the Wraith 7, Venator, Lady Geist, and you just Disarming Hex them, you either burn their Dispel to put your mark on them, or they just can't fight back for 4.25 seconds, which is kind of crazy. And you get the negative bullet resist on top of that. It's a really good item, only for 3,200. Decay, for the same reasoning, burn the Dispel, or if they don't, they're losing like 30% of their health bar at some point in the game. I know it's not max HP and it's current HP, but Decay is still a really good item. Then Slowing Hex, same reasoning, burn their Dispel. If they don't Dispel, it helps you catch up to them, put your mark on them, chase them down. I think these three items are really good for shutting down like a Wraith, Mirage, Infernus, things like that. Now finally, Shadow Weave. I know some people buy this thing as like a meme item, but I genuinely think it might be good. Drifter likes all of the stats, the fire rate, spirit power, and melee damage. And you could just go super fast and invisible. It's kind of like a mini Drifter roll on like a 45-second cooldown. And it just also gives you inherent sprint speed, help you get around the map way faster. Next is Dynamo. The main item here, I think, is just Majestic Leap. I think Veilwalker is pretty often bought, so it's not really underrated, but it's always an option. And then I think Majestic Leap can be good for just jumping in and then ulting. Like, I don't know. It might seem stupid, but I don't think it's been experimented with enough. It might be underrated by. And then Magic Carpet. Ability Duration Secret Tech is what I labeled it as. This could be good. Who knows? It makes you super bouncy, able to get out, you have a lot of survivability with your 2, your 3. Just run around the map and survive. You could fly into a team fight and ult everybody. It just gives you spirit power, health, and a duration on your black hole. So, could be a decent item. For Graves, I have 2 items that are the same as Drifter, Disarming Hex and Decay. Decay is kind of, if you want to go to like a more supporty route on Graves, because you're not really an M1 character or like a Spirit Nuker, you're kind of like a controller, like a map control hero. So when you get in fights, your Tombstone might be in the other side of the map. Decay just lets you do consistent damage from afar. Um, I saw someone run it and it was really good. That's why I just think it's underrated. I think Graves is a character that you can kind of slot some items in that you wouldn't be able to in other heroes just because your utility is so good. Disarming Hex for the same reasoning as like Drifter. Um, if she's taking a 1v1 with like a Wraith, a 7, or Venator, she's going to lose all of those 1v1s. But if she disarms them, they might start freaking out. You put a wall behind them, your skulls, right? Like, they might be in trouble. Make them burn their dispel, and then they get trapped in that and can't dispel it. So yeah. Same kind of reasoning as well with this, with the dispel. Waste your dispel on the decay, and then they get rooted. Next is Fortitude, helps you stay on the map. She has a really small health bar, so I think that can definitely help with that. And then Healing Booster in lane. I think you can buy extra regen first item, and later on in the lane you buy Healing Booster. For this Collect Death heals 5 health per pickup and scales with Spirit. And Healing Booster does affect it. So you see 14 heal on pickup, 16.8. And the more it scales with Spirit, the more effective it's going to be. So I think this is a pretty underrated buy in lane. Just give you a little bit more sustain on a hero that is slow and sluggish. Next is GT. I think he's pretty solved, but something to consider as Trophy Collector. You're already looking for bird stacks and everything. Might as well pick up Trophy. You know. And then Spiritual Overflow. If you're doing like Gun Spike, on this, I think this can be really good. Gives you more gun damage, gives you faster fire rate, and gives you more flat spirit power and spirit lifesteal. So, like all 3 things that this character wants. And I don't know if people buy this item enough on this hero. Haze. So the big one I want to talk about is Tank Buster. A lot of people say, oh, you're going to be too reliant on your knife if you use this. I think it's good. I think the amount of damage that Tank Buster does with your knife, it gives you fixation stacks. You can knife them, hit them with Tank Buster, do like 500 damage. I think it's pretty good. Then next up is Disarming Hex. Same exact reasoning as Drifter. You're in a 1v1 with the other M1. Make them waste the spell so they can't dispel your stacks, things like that. You just do damage, and if they don't dispel the disarm, you are just 1v1ing them and they can't shoot back. Then Recharging Rush. It's really easy to proc, and your max 2 is pretty much 2 free dispel magics on charges. So Recharging Rush just gives you another one. Same reasoning for something that like Rapid Recharge might be good, or even Extra Charge on this hero. Give you 4 dispel magics for free, and just stay in Vis forever. So something to consider for sure. Holliday. I have a lot of gun items here. I'm just going to go through all of them. Sharpshooter. I think if you're flying through the sky, you're always going to be in range of the Sharpshooter. You can do a lot of damage. Ballistic Enchantment. Put that on your 1. Gives it a bigger range, and each one that you hit on players gives you more weapon damage. If you're scaling a bit more into weapon damage, this can be good. Headhunter. You already have Crack Shot if you're already aiming for headshots. This just gives you a little bit more of a burst as well. Consider this for your gun spike. Phantom Strike, if you're struggling to hit lassos and you just want to hit a lasso so easily, this item is super underrated for that. Super underbought. If you're having a rough game, you know, can't hit your lassos, that could be pretty good. It's also good for like lassoing like a Vindicta out of the sky if you can't get to her. And something like Spellslinger, you know, with max barrels and like your rapid recharge and everything, you have a lot of charges, so you know you can get Spellslinger off, and then like the end game you could be doing a bunch of gun damage with Spellslinger if you're kitted a bit into gun. So yeah, for like a hybrid Holiday playstyle, these could be pretty underrated items. Okay, so for Infernus, I think these are kind of like dash build underrated items. I think Gun Infernus is pretty bad, and it's pretty solved. So Diviner's Kevlar, I think that when you're running into a bunch of people, you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and you're going to get counterspelled a lot of times, so a 1000 barrier and more spirit power for your dash and everything, I think that could be really beneficial and really, really good for his playstyle. Juggernaut, if you're doing like a more tanky dash build playstyle, where you're like an anti-carry, like running at their Wraith, their 7, their Venator, people like that. You You get slow resist, move speed, melee resist, health regeneration, and if they shoot you, they get less fire rate. And it's a green item, 6400 green item. So it's just a really good item if you're kind of like playing like a tanky live forever Infernus playstyle. It's either like this or like plated, but I think this item's a bit underrated because a lot of people just buy plated. Then Scourge. I think if you're dashing into people already, you know, you might as well pick this up. It works with the damage amp as well, you know, so I think, guys, you know, this is in the Lightbringer build. It's time for everyone to open their eyes to Scourge. Ivy. This is from the Ashires build that I took inspiration. I think Decay and Trophy are pretty good. I saw Ashires likes to rush Decay. I think it actually really works for this character's playstyle. Just being in a lot of team fights, flying around the map, decaying people, being a support hero, you can just plop it on the frontliners because frontliners are super strong right now. Again, a Dispel Magic bait for your silence or like getting stuck in your tether, or sorry, your thorns. Super underrated on this hero. And then Trophy Collector, you're just going to be flying around the map, helping your team, getting kills, being a support. I think it's underbought on this hero. I think it's pretty good. Headhunter. Don't know if it's underrated on this hero, but it's a pretty good buy. You actually have a lot of HP on this hero, so healing is pretty good. Sometimes you'll buy Healing Booster and Healing Tempo. I think Headhunter also benefits from those items that you're already going to want to buy. And yeah, it just gives you flat damage for someone whose gun doesn't do a lot of damage, so you could do like Headhunter instead of Tesla Bullets if that's your style. And then the next item is Colossus. I know Wander, I think Wander likes this item. I've seen him build it on stream, and I've come to like it as well. You have very above average HP scaling. You have some built-in lifesteal with your 2. You might get Healing Temple, all that stuff. I think Colossus just lets you live forever. It's crazy. You have so much HP on this hero for no reason. Next up is Kelvin. I think he's also pretty solid. Something like Mystic Reverb on his nade with max nade and rapid recharge. I think the cooldowns line up pretty well. I've seen people buying this a lot. Don't know if it's truly underrated, but something to consider even in like a support build. You know, get that slow, the lifesteal, just do a lot of damage. I think it's pretty good. And then monster rounds with the 1 level in the ice path, you're going to be taking like negative damage 2 towers with this. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now for Lady Geist, something like Cheat Death, help you get your soul exchange off. If you don't manage to get it off, you could silence or something. Cheat Death can help you live. Now this can't be cursed off, but what are the odds someone curses that off you know? Gives her bullet resist bonus health inherently as well. Just gives her time to get her soul exchange off if she wasn't able to. Same thing with Phantom Strike though. I didn't include that, but you can Phantom Strike onto somebody and soul exchange them. Similar idea to Holliday Lasso with the Phantom Strike. I think this might be underbought as well if you're struggling to close the distance and get your swap off and you're dying before you get it off. You should never be dying before you can get your swap off. And duration. I think this could be a pretty underrated item. Make your tether last longer, you heal more, and your malice lasts longer on them. If you have max bomb, it'll last longer on the ground, and the silence will last longer as well. So I think duration can work well with everything in the kit. I just think it might be underbought on this hero. So for the Lash, I'm going to be talking about Spirit Lash, because I think Spirit Lash in general is super underrated. So to begin with, since Spirit Lash is super underrated, I just think Boundless Spirit is underrated on this hero, because everyone's building Gun Lash, but I think Spirit Lash is still pretty good. It might be a little more comp dependent than like Gun Lash, but I think if you're into a good comp, and you're on Lash, you're into a good comp for Spirit Lash, you should play it. I think it's still pretty good. Now let's get into the actual underrated items. I think Healing Booster is pretty underrated with your whip. 84% heal versus heroes, and if you have something like Tank Buster, you're doing a lot of damage. So yeah, I think Healing Booster could be a pretty good 1600 green. Majestic Leap, don't think it's bought enough on this hero. People go for Stam Mastery, people have been going for Warp Stone. I think just such a nice feeling to just Majestic Leap in the air, hit up ult, slam on them, like, I don't know. I think it's so underrated on this hero. It might be bad, you know, I don't care. I don't care. This might be a stupid one, but I think it's underrated for sure. And then I think, like, Cold Front and Arctic Blast are also underrated on this hero. So again, like I showed with the Abrams, what like a theoretical 4.8k Spirit Spike could be, it could be like Mystic Burst, Improved Spirit, Extra Charge, Cold Front, and that's your Spirit Spike, and then you could slam on people and then Cold Front them. And this is just a pretty good item, does more damage for your burst as well. And then later in the game you got Arctic Blast. Ult everyone, slam onto them, and then Arctic Blast them. They're just stuck there forever. I don't know, might be underrated. Also might just suck. I don't know. I don't know. People don't buy this item. I never see anyone buy this on Lash. So yeah, try it out. You know, might be underrated. And again, even in a Spirit Lash build, I think Siphon Bolts could be a good item. I know people buy in Gun Lash builds, but I just think it's a super good item. It might be underrated. I'm not sure. People might have come around to this item. I just think it's so easy to proc on this hero. And it's just really good. And Crippling Headshot. People buy it a lot. But I think Weakening Headshot for your Gun Spike, even on Spirit Lash, you know, like Headhunter with Weakening Headshot, I think that could still be pretty good. Helps you jungle as well, since your jungling is, it's okay on Lash, but helps your gun damage do a bit more, especially if you do 2 points in here. I think Weakening Headshot is a underbought item for the Gun Spike on this hero. So for McGinnis, I absolutely hate this hero, but I think that you're pretty tanky and that you can live for a while if you are getting jumped with your turrets and your heal with the spear resist and everything. So I think E-Shift is an underrated buy on this hero. I think it's help you stall out time, and it also gives you some pretty good stats that you do like. So afterwards you get Spirit Power, Spirit Resist, Move Speed for 5 seconds. It just helps you live on a hero that's pretty immobile. And then Siphon Bullets, even in like a Spirit McGinnis build, you know, you might be shooting your gun a good bit. It doesn't proc on the turrets, but you're shooting a lot of bullets, and you know, even if one bullet hits, it gives you the max HP steal. So I think it's pretty underbought on this hero. Alright, for Mina, this is credit to Lord NM. I think Headhunter might be underrated on this hero. I think it's just good burst, good healing for a not tanky character, for a really fragile character. And then opening rounds, I think this is like a comfort underrated buy. Makes Mina's gun pretty much hit scan. And yeah, so I think this as like a gun spike might be pretty underbought. This is a quick one. Mirage, underrated again. I think I have Spirit Sap in lane. You Spirit Sap someone, hit him with your Scarab. It does more damage, and that means it heals you for more. So something like this, and like Mystic Vulnerability with like Extender, something like that. It could be a good 4.8k Spirit Spike. But then I think Cultist as well. I think this hero's farm is really bad, but you want money. So I think something like Cultist and Monster Rounds in lane can help you turbo farm, do more damage to creeps, do more damage to objectives as well. I think this item's underbought in this hero. I've seen like one build recently, a popular build using Cultist. I think this hero's farm is just so bad, and you want a lot of money. I think Cultist is a no-brainer on this hero. So for Mo and Krill, sorry to Palmer, I think duration's underrated on this hero. Makes her burrow last forever, and it's like a 5-second cooldown after max burrow, like after you're done with the burrow. The cooldown's super short. Radiant Regen, I think you're using a lot of abilities, you're spamming abilities. Gives you move speed, it heals you. I think it helps you be tankier. I think this is underbought as well. And the big underrated one, I think, is Spirit Strike and Spirit Snatch. I think you're playing so close range that you could sneak in a light melee, or you might even bait a pair and you could sneak in a heavy melee, right? So, and just make all of your damage do more. Like your burrow, your scorn, your combo, everything will do more damage if you Spirit Strike them. So I think this might be underrated on this hero. Might be hard to slot in, but if you can, it might be pretty good. Paige, low HP pool just like Graves. I think something like Fortitude is pretty underrated. Helps you stay on the map for longer, gives you some good stats you like, gives you some move speed, and regens you so you can just stay on the map for longer. And just gives you health. It just helps you live. And then Lightning Scroll. I think this might be a later game buy, but I don't see a lot of pages get Lightning Scroll. I think if you could hit like a 4-man ult or a 4-man ult, right, and then they get stunned again a couple seconds after, I think that's a team wipe. I think this ult's already pretty good if you get Lightning Scroll on something like this. I think it could be like devastating. So try it out. Next is Paradox. I think Disarming Hex is underrated. I think when you swap someone or carbine them and just make them completely stuck, I think your utility is so good again that you can afford to buy items like this. And then I think Kevlar. When you're swapping someone, you might be going into their whole team. So good stats to give you to survive. You could also buy Warpstone, but Kevlar might be an underrated buy if Warpstone just isn't cutting it for you. And then Cultist. I think buying Cultist, you get the weapon damage, the bonus health, and ability range for all your abilities, and also increases your farm while you're roaming and looking for picks. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good item. Don't know if Cultist is underrated, but it might be. Pocket. So instead of Cultist, maybe buying Point Blank and close range, close quarters in lane. That could be pretty good. Do more weapon damage, especially with your +5 weapon damage on your cloak. I think Point Blank's underrated on this hero for sure. Something else I think is underrated is Refresher. Late game for sure. Like, say you completely whip your one ult. Like, this is a game-changing ult in the late game. Refresher, hit it again, then you get a 6-man. You know, things like that. Because towards the end of the game, it's like, what are you buying on Pocket? You might start buying like shred items or like gun items. So I think at a certain point you might buy Refresher. I think it's pretty good. And then, gotta hear me out on this one. I think Vortex Web to hit a big affliction might be underrated. You can definitely buy Slowing Hex earlier in the game as well to build into this. I think you buy like greater expansion, you buy like duration and everything. So I think this item might synergize decently with Pocket's kit. It might also be troll, it might be stupid. But I think hitting like a Vortex Web into an affliction, you know, might be underrated. It might be, you know, who knows. Spirit Strike and lane, I think if you're like light meleeing, sorry, out of your satchel, just increases your spirit damage. It's another, like, 'cause you get Spear Amp on this, so it's just some Spirit Shred as well. You're gonna be chunky people. The only thing is this might make your light melee less predictable. They see you buy Spirit Strike, they're parrying your satchel. Or they might even buy like Rebuttal or something, but I think this item is pretty underrated. And you can just sell it. It doesn't have to be like a item. It could be like, instead of buying a Proof Spirit, you buy this and Extra Spirit, right? Like, something like that. Extra Spirit, Mystic Hold, and Cold Throat. That's your 4.8k spike. And then last is Overflow. I think his gun is super good. Same sort of thing as Great Talon. This gives you a bunch of stuff that you want. Gives you more damage on your abilities and gives you fire rate, so you do more damage with your gun. For Rem, I think it's pretty solved. The only thing I think might be underrated is Healing Nova, since you're already buying things like Healing Booster. You could just attach on someone and give them a huge burst of healing. Max boons with Healing Booster is 620, so yeah, I think it might be pretty underrated. So next is 7. I think Plated Armor is underrated because you ult, and you have Plated Armor, and no one's shooting you in your ult. People aren't shooting you in max ult to begin with, but if they try to shoot you down, they're shooting Plated Armor. They're not hitting you, right? Then Spirit Burn. I think this is the best anti-heal in the game, of course, besides like Pocket ult. And since you could proc it on 6 people now with no cooldown, it's a little worse, but you could just get this on literally everybody on the team. Everyone's spear burned. And it also might waste the spells and things like that, so you could throw your stun on them. So yeah, I think this is pretty underrated on 7. As like a late game buy, of course. So for Shiv, I think something like Spirit Strike and Spirit Snatch. You're already playing close range. I think it's the same kind of thing as Mo. You can try to like get in like a light melee or like a heavy melee while you're like dueling them. I know some people were buying items like this when Shiv was like a melee with his dash. But I think this could be pretty underrated. You know, you dash into them, light melee them. I think you might already be doing things like that as well. So just getting Spirit Snatch might give you more damage. And then Spirit Sap, kind of same thing. Shreds the Spirit Resist. Kind of can be like an anti-Spirit Nuker item where you just put it on them and then you're dashing into them, doing way more damage. They're doing less damage to you. I think you can fit this in instead of buying like Suppressor. Like if you're buying Suppressor in your build and they don't have gun characters, you could try Spirit Sap instead. For Silver, I just think Fire Rate in general is underrated on this character, so things like K-Dash and Swift Striker makes you shoot faster, and then with already a lot of damage that you're going to be building, you proc Wolf Form faster. So if you're struggling to proc Wolf Form, underrated items can be K-Dash and Swift Striker. And something like Silence Wave as well, or even Disarming Hex. I think these can all be underrated items to just shut down the people that you're trying to proc Wolf Form off of so you can proc it easier. So for Sinclair, I think it's the same kind of thing as Doorman. I think your gun isn't that bad at all. So I think Gun Spike in general is pretty underrated. So just for Sinclair, I had something like Mystic Shot and Sharpshooter, or like Sharpshooter and Recharging Rush. I think those can be pretty good underrated items on Sinclair to get your Gun Spike. And then I just have Majestic Leap. I think it's underrated depending on like what ults they have on their team. So if they have like Lash, Dynamo, you can like Majestic Leap into the sky, copy Lash ult, and then hit the Lash ult while you're still in the sky. That's pretty niche, but I think it's an underrated item and you could have some pretty cool plays with it. Okay, for Venator, I think people have started buying it. I've seen it in like John builds and like Wanderer builds, but Fleetfoot, I don't know why people weren't buying this item sooner. It gives you weapon damage, slide distance, bullet resist, and it gives you move speed on the active and removes the penalty while you're shooting and gives you slow resist on the active as well. It's like, I feel like this item is like a no-brainer on this character and people like just started buying it as of recently. I think ever since like the slowing bullets nerf, people started buying this. But I was buying this before the slowing bullets nerf. I think it's just so synergistic with this kit and just lets him not be a super slug. And then, this is stupid, but Headhunter, Healing Booster. I was working on like some sort of like green Venator build where it was like live forever with like Siphon Bolts, Vamp Burst, Headhunter, Healing Booster. It's stupid, but I think there's some merit to it. I think his med game is pretty good, and Headhunter is a good item for some quick burst damage and heal you in like more drawn out fights. And especially in the end game, the healing gets pretty crazy with the Headhunter. So yeah, I don't know. I know he likes weapon damage, but Headhunter might be a buy that you might consider. Victor, I think this character is pretty solid as well. Something like Overflow. Your gun is decent if you're speccing into it, so it gives you more fire rate and then gives you more spirit damage and all your abilities. I think it's underrated as well. Phantom Strike, if you are struggling to close the distance on somebody, Phantom Strike onto them. I think it could be pretty good. No one really buys it. And Arctic Blast. You know, they're in your aura, you Arctic Blast them, they can't get out. You know? I don't know. I think this might be an underrated item. I think this is underrated in general. I was talking about it on Lash earlier. I think this could be pretty good on someone like Victor. Just get them stuck in your aura for a longer time and not let them run out. Vindicta, I think something like Lightning Scroll is underrated because now it procs on your charges, so you can just Lightning Scroll everybody on their team. Choose who you want to Lightning Scroll. You can Lightning Scroll someone 4 times in a row with Rapid Recharge. It's stupid, it's underrated, it might be gimmicky, but yeah, there's merit to it, I think. Headhunter, I think for some burst damage, and it doesn't matter about fall off, you can proc Headhunter on people. Headshot Booster is a good item in lane. This might be a good upgrade later on in the game. Fleetfoot and Enduring Speed, these work in flight. These help you move faster in flight. Fleetfoot works in flight, help you be less sluggish while you're flying around. I think these are underrated. Goo Guy, I think even in Spirit build, the Mystic Shot, Express Shot combo is still good. It's still good burst. I think it's underrated. I think if you're only building Spirit on this hero, you might be trolling a little bit. I think this is like a crazy one-shot combo in their early to mid game. Vyper. I couldn't really think of any for this character. I think Cheat Death might be one. If you get caught out, you die pretty quickly, so I think Cheat Death might help you just like slither out if you get caught out, heal up, go back to base, whatever, right? I'm not sure about this one. Actually, I'm sure about the next one though. I think Veil Walker. I think you come through a veil and just like, is this a veil? It's not. I don't know where the veils are in the practice range. But you come out of a veil and just like one tap somebody, like come out the veil, slide up the staircase and just like light somebody up. Hit them with your petrifying bola. It's like, what do they do? I don't know. It's already like crazy for when a Vyper comes out of nowhere and just like one-shots you. I think if there's no chance for you to know that there's a Vyper coming at you with like Veil Walker, might be underrated. It might be a pretty good green spike item. I think for Warden, I think these items are going to be kind of ult buildy. So I think Scourge, if you're already in the vicinity of someone with your ult, I think Scourge might be a pretty good buy. Just do even more damage and give you Spirit Resist. I think if you have Scourge on ult Warden, I think this item needs to be bought more. If you're playing ult Warden, you need to buy Scourge. I think this might be actually crazy. I don't know. You're uncontestable when you're in ult if you have Scourge up. Next is Refresher. I think this might be a later game buy, but 2 Warden ults in the late game, I don't know how you're stopping that. And then Vortex Web, same kind of idea as like Pocket, where you're Vortex Webbing people into your ult. This is gimmicky as well, but there's some merit to it. I think it might be underrated, because you can already buy Slowing Hex, and you might as well upgrade into that later in the game. Especially if they have a lot of movement and they're running away from you in your ult. There's some merit to it. I think it's underrated. Then finally is Frenzy. I think he likes all of the stats with this item, especially if you're playing Gun Warden or even Ult Warden. This can still be a good item. Give you some gun investment. And below 50% health. If you ult, you're healing a lot, so you might drop below, but then you heal up a lot. So you just get these bonuses for 10 seconds. I think it's really good. Really underrated. I think this item is underrated in general. So for Wraith, this is the one that I want to talk about the most. I think like doing a gun or a spirit spike like this with improved spirit QSR and Mystic Vuln, I think that can be really good. I've been thinking this for a while. And then I think escalating exposure, which is the big item that I wanted to talk about, is underrated on this hero. Your cards are doing spirit damage, your 3's doing spirit damage, test the bullets doing spirit damage. It gives you inherent spirit resist. You could buy like spirit resilience as well, and you just have 42 spirit resist. You can kind of become super hard to kill. You do a lot of healing. I think this might be underrated. I think this item's underrated on Wraith. I think if you try it out, I think you'll be doing a lot of damage. I tried it out a couple times. I really liked it. Got called a troll a couple times, even though I played well. Yeah, I think this item's underrated for sure. And just something, Lucky Shot. Late on in the game, this makes like your bullets do like double card generation. So like one bullet, say like one bullet is like one piece of the card generated. One bullet with Lucky Shot generates 2 pieces of the card. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It just doubles your card generation if you hit the Lucky Shot. So 25% of the chance, 25% of the time you're getting a 2x card generation. And it also just does more damage. More weapon damage. So this might be underrated on this hero as well. Finally, for Yamato, first off, something like Veil Walker. I found the Veils. Come out of nowhere, latch onto someone, just poop on them. Might be underrated. And then these 2 items are like the same kind of thing, just be tanky. Divine's Kevlar and Witchmail. I think Witchmail is super underrated. Getting your cooldown on all your abilities lowered is really, really good on this hero. And then Divine's Kevlar popping your ult, especially if you're lower, this can really help you survive. And gives you 40 flat spirit power. So that's like, what, 80 plus damage, like 100 damage more on your slash. Just for popping Diviner's Kevlar, you know? That's pretty good. And then Spirit Sap. In lane, you might buy this, and then your charge does like 50 more damage, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think this item, because you're doing a lot of spirit damage, this item could be good. So yeah, that's the video, guys. If you guys agree, disagree with anything, let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and let me know if you guys have any other ideas. I was thinking of doing like overrated items for each hero. So yeah, let me know what you guys think.